Part 58. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 571. How can this be? Tang Jiayun lost her voice and said, she did not believe in evil and went to see it herself. The family doctor shrugged his shoulders and moved away from the bedside. When I checked just now, Bai Shenjia's upper body clothes had been taken off, and he was lying on his side on the bed. His back was covered with whip marks from the old housekeeper. 100 whip marks were applied densely, and the skin and flesh were torn in many places. As soon as the medicine was applied, Tang Jiayun took one look and quickly looked away. She remembered that in the living room just now, Zhang Lingzi was standing in front of Shen Yu cracking the whip, and quickly came back to look at the position of her chest. How come? There are only a few marks on the chest that look like scratches made by women's nails, and they have already scabbed. The rest of the chest is white, not to mention broken skin, and there are not even any red marks. Is it possible that those whips just sounded? No, 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 that's not right. Shen Yu is a kid who wants to save face. He was beaten until his skin was rotten in the ancestral hall and he still managed to keep silent. There was no reason for him to be whipped by a woman so much that he screamed without caring about his image. He could only do it because he couldn't control it. Call it out. Even though he is his grandson, it is not easy to stare at him all the time. Tang Jiayun was about to look away when she noticed that the flesh under her eyes was trembling slightly. Is this a fever? Old lady, it's a muscle spasm caused by excessive pain. The second young master doesn't have a fever, but we can't rule out the possibility of having a fever later. Tang Jiayun. She has lived a life of pampering, but she has never seen anyone trembling with pain like this. Keep him. Coming out of the grandson's room, the old housekeeper was waiting at the door to admit his mistake. Old lady, Okay, stop talking. Tang Jiayun waved her hand. Shen Yunqing came here this time just to suppress Zhang Lingzi. The woman who can make the head of the Shen family fall in love is definitely not an ordinary person. You can't stand it. I don't blame you either. The two of them walked out one after the other. The old housekeeper hesitated for a while, then asked in a low voice, Old madam, what are your plans next? I, Tang Jiayun, am not a vegetarian. Mrs. Bai has worn the title of Mrs. Bai for a long time. She is used to days where she is treated respectfully no matter whether she is at home or out, whether her own juniors or others. This is her first time. This is the first time I've been so angry. I failed to show weakness and was slapped hard in front of my face. It doesn't matter that the Shen family is more powerful than my Bai family. I don't believe that Shen Yunqing can really fight against my Bai family for Zhang Lingzi. He is the head of the Shen family, but there are uncles above him. Well, how could it be possible to see him going against my Bai family for a woman? At that time, I want to see how arrogant Zhang Lingzi can be. Tang Jiayun clapped her hand on the railing in front of her. The second son is a son like Shen Yu, and I, Tang Jiayun, will be saved. The old housekeeper stood aside and hesitated to speak. The old lady was used to being flattered, and she felt extremely humiliated when she was slapped in the face by a junior. But as a bystander, he could clearly see that Miss Zhang was more than just a woman favored by the head of the Shen family. At that time, he could not see too clearly in the reception hall. Not to mention the old lady, even the head of the Shen family was not as powerful as Miss Zhang. If he were to say, the woman who is attracted by the head of the Shen family, it would be more appropriate to change it to the woman who is attracted by the head of the Shen family. However, looking at the old lady's livid face, he still swallowed the correction. The old ladies on the left and right are already determined to protect the second young master, and I'm afraid they won't listen to his words. Asterisk. The game between the two families is no longer the petty fight it was before. The Shen family and the Bai family both have many family businesses, many of which are in the same industry. The first thing they did was to snipe at shopping malls. This mainly depends on the leader's decision-making and the abilities of his employees. Further up is the competition for relationships and connections. Seeing that Shen Yunqing had gained a lot of benefits after several rounds of business attacks, instead of losing money, Tang Jiayun endured her heartache and dissatisfaction from her eldest son, gritted her teeth and used several key connections that her husband had left for her when he was alive. These relationships, if used properly, can bring the Bai family to a higher level, but now they are used to exonerate the unscrupulous descendants of the family. The people who were asked to stand in front of me deserved it well, and they couldn't help but sigh as soon as they left. I thought the Bai family could last longer in Tang Jiayun's hands. Why do you keep this kind of lawless thing? Keep it for the new year. The Bai family is going to decline after all. Although the words are different, the meanings expressed by several people are similar. Just for an unsatisfactory junior to face off against the Shen family, which has been prospering in recent years, how stupid. Now I can only feel sorry for Mrs. Bai. After all, what these people know best is measurement. Just to help a fight against the head of the Shen family, who is known for his tough tactics, they are not stupid. Shen Yunqing's choice of these people was expected, so he had no intention of looking for connections like Mrs. Bai from the beginning, but he still received a call from his second uncle. Why did you get into trouble with that old lady from the Bai family? Second uncle is always busy with everything, how come he knows about this? One of the people that the old lady from the Bai family asked me to beg for is someone who is an acquaintance of mine. She mentioned it to me at the banquet last night, but didn't say anything specific. I'm going to come over and ask you. I just want the criminal to be brought to justice, and the target is the Bai family. You don't seem to be a nosy person. Is it someone from the Bai family who has no foresight who caused you trouble? You didn't offend me, but you made Ling 11 unhappy. On the other end of the phone, the second uncle of the Shen family sat in the study and took a long breath. A flash of anger can turn into beauty. Shen Yunqing, it can also be understood this way. Okay, I won't care about this. You just have to control yourself. If you need any help, forget it, you probably don't need me. Okay, uncle, I'll hang up right now. Wait a minute, when will you bring your niece-in-law to the old house? We haven't met anyone yet. Turn on the TV or mobile phone and search for her name to see it. Real people, I mean real people. Then let's see when she is happy. The second uncle of the Shen family. He never expected that his eldest nephew would find a wife like this, which was completely different from his usual style. Could it be that the head of the Shen family instantly transformed into a spoiled brat when in front of his niece-in-law? The picture was so beautiful that the second uncle of the Shen family shook his head vigorously. Asterisk. The Bai family. Hang up the second busy phone. Tang Jiayun sat there blankly for a long time. Then he looked up blankly and looked at the old housekeeper waiting aside. Why don't they answer my call? Old housekeeper. Because they knew it was not worth going against the Shen family over this matter. But does he dare to reply? He remains silent. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 572. There are more than two families in the imperial capital, the Shen family and the Bai family. But the two families suddenly came into tit for tat, and the scale of their actions really shocked the other families. They still remember that the last time Shen Yunqing took action, he suppressed the Chen family so lightly that he is still unable to stand up. Chen Rui's younger brother, a painter, who was very high profile online before, has also disappeared. The brothers still dare not appear in front of the Shen family. But the Chen family cannot be compared with the Bai family. 10 Chen families are not as good as one Bai family. When these two families faced off, even the imperial capital would be shaken. If you have something good to do, you can't help but boldly check it out. But the results found out made almost everyone look puzzled. The second wife of the Bai family, Bai Shenjiao, forced an 18th-tier young actor in the entertainment industry, causing him to fall from a building and be seriously injured. The young actor himself has nothing to do with the Shen family. The only one who has that kind of relationship is the relationship between Shen Yunqing, the head of the Shen family, and Zhang Lingzi, an actress who is currently popular in the industry. And Zhang Lingzi and the seriously injured young actor were barely friends. That's it? Just for this? Is it worth pitting two families against each other? If this is not a fuss, then what is a fuss? There must be some secrets in this that we haven't discovered yet. Isn't the charity dinner hosted by the original family about to be held soon? When the two families get together, maybe we can get some clues. Old Madame Bai comes every year, but the Shen family member is very casual and may not come. It's hard for me to see them all together. We're going to invite some celebrities to join in the fun. If we invite Zhang Lingzi this time, it's more likely that the Shen family will come. In the past, the minimum hired by the original family were all top-notch, which is not uncommon for international movie queens. Although Zhang Lingzi has been very popular recently, she is not even top-tier, right? But what if we add the title of the girlfriend of the Shen family? The person who organized the dinner this time is the youngest member of the Yuan family. I have a good relationship with him. I'll mention it to him. A group of melon eaters said, "Why don't you go quickly?" Asterisk. The International Fashion Festival is coming soon, and for fear of another accident, Tong Yu has not arranged any work. Zhang Lingzi has been living quite leisurely these days. I learned from Shen Yunqing that due to Mrs. Bai's insistence, she has now successfully made herself a loner. Zhang Lingzi was waiting to see that before leaving, Bai Shenjiao could no longer find anyone to protect him, and no one could take the blame, so he was sent to prison. That would be the end of the world. Good and evil will be rewarded in the end, and Bai Shenjiao's retribution is hers. Until Tong Yu called. "Well, Zioxi, I take back what I said before." Hearing her tone, Zhang Lingzi suddenly had a bad feeling. The next second, sure enough. "There is a charity dinner event that I think you can go to. I thought it was not for us, but I didn't expect that they actually invited you." "What charity dinner?" "Yuan's charity, you can search it online. It's the highest profile dinner held at the end of the year. In previous years, the front line was the entry barrier. I don't know what happened this year, but it's definitely a good thing for us." "Okay, I understand." After hanging up the phone, Zhang Lingzi asked one more question. "I accepted the invitation, do I have to go?" Tong Yu said, I really don't know about this, but if you get the invitation, unless something unexpected happens, most people will go. For such a high-level dinner, getting it means recognition from the mainstream circle." Zhang Lingzi started searching for Yuan's charity after hanging up the phone. There is quite a lot of information popping up all at once. First of all, there is the Yuan family, a long-lasting first-class family in the imperial capital. Unlike the Shen family controlled by Shen Yunqing, the Yuan family is a very high-profile family. This Yuan family charity dinner has a history of nearly 30 years. At first, the Yuan family invited some large and small families to meet at the end of the year to exchange information and build a good reputation for charity. Until recent years, as the entertainment industry has been booming, Yuan charity has also begun to follow the trend, inviting celebrities to the event to increase the popularity of topics. Because the threshold was set at the beginning, there was even a saying in the circle that only if you get an invitation letter to the Yuan's charity dinner at the end of the year, you are considered to be on the front line. To put it bluntly, they are all gimmicks. But what the entertainment industry wants is gimmicks. No wonder Tong Yu was reluctant to refuse. This was indeed a pie that was fed directly to her mouth. "What are you looking at so ecstatically?" Zhang Lingzi raised her head and glanced at the person approaching, and turned the phone screen in his direction. "Hey, it's time to live again." Sister Tong meant something behind her words. "Let me pick it up." "Yuan's charity dinner." Shen Yunqing frowned. Zhang Lingzi looked at his expression and said, "You also know, Have you been there? Well, Shen Yunqing sat down on the chair next to him. Invitations are sent every year, but I have only been there twice. Why do you think it's boring? Not really, it's just that it's of no use to me, so I just won't go. Then if I go this time, will you go? Together? That shouldn't happen. I have a separate invitation letter. However, Zhang Lingzi thought about Tong Yu's invitation letter that she just received today. When did you receive your invitation letter? 3 days ago. I just received it today. It's a bit strange. Shen Yunqing picked up the cup and took a sip of water. The Bai family also has an invitation letter. That's my cup, Zhang Lingzi only reminded her without grabbing the cup back. You are confronting the Bai family. Many people in your circle should know about it. Do you think my invitation letter was it sent to me because of some people's curiosity? As soon as Shen Yunqing heard this, he simply said, then I won't go. No, 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 I'm going to satisfy their curiosity. Zhang Lingzi narrowed her eyes and smiled. Knowing that Mrs. Bai would be there, not going would look cowardly to outsiders. But the word retreat was never in her dictionary. Asterisk. The invitation list for Yuan's charity dinner was announced on the official website the night before the dinner. This list comes out once a year, and it gets to the top of the hot search list every time, and this time is no exception. In addition to some names that only people in upper-class circles know how important they are, the majority of netizens are more concerned about the list of celebrities invited by Yuan. This is the name they are familiar with. As soon as the list came out, discussions among all parties followed. There is no Su Qingmei anymore. Think about it, she was still ranked third on last year's list. The two above are both old artists. This time, Yuan kicked her out. It's a shame. I just compared it with last year's list, and I feel like it hasn't changed much. They are still the same people. You can tell just by looking at the list. The entertainment industry is in a slump this year, and there are only 3 or 2 cats who have climbed to the top. Look at the last name, everyone, it's Zhang Lingzi. The question is she on the front line? What's going on? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 573. It was originally a charity dinner, so there couldn't be a simple mistake like inviting the wrong person or making a mistake in the list, right? But Zhang Lingzi is not yet on the front line. If Empress Yuan Zhao aired during the Chinese New Year can be a big hit, she will be able to firmly sit on the front line. Has Yuan also started buying stocks in advance? Is Empress Yuan Zhao expected to be a big hit? Or are there really no celebrities who are famous and popular this year? She must be lucky. She is probably just one short of a quota. Looking at the mainland entertainment industry, as far as she is currently popular, she is in the top spot. If this were really the case, it would make a lot of people jealous. There are indeed many people who are jealous of the list. As early as a week ago, Yuan officially announced the specific time for this year's charity dinner, and many people began to try to get an invitation. The number of celebrities to be invited is decided in advance, so even A-listers are afraid that they will not have any works this year or the response of their works is not big enough, and they will be excluded from the invitation list. It would be a shame to be on the front line but not invited by the Yuan family. There are also second and third tier players who want to try their luck. They are not qualified to be included in the invitation list alone, so they simply try to find some other ways. Those invited family members, single and divorced, are their targets. Follow these people as their female or male companions. Until this time the list comes out. I counted them 3 times. I had clearly decided that there would be 30 celebrities to be invited. Why did Zhang Lingzi become the 31st? I have been working for such a quota for so long, and they can add more people if they want. Yuanqi is too bullying. From a first-line player who was squeezed out of the list and his spot was taken away by his opponent. The manager who was treated as a trash can and accepted the complaints also had a helpless look on his face, and had to persuade his artists to calm down. Who let me be the organizer? They can choose whoever they want, and they can add people if they want, and we have to be arrangement. Let's just do this year, and let's work hard next year. Next year she, Zhang Lingzi, will be on the front line. You can also see the behind the scenes and clips released by their crew. Empress Yuan Zhao will be a big hit as long as nothing goes wrong. It will be even harder to compete for this spot next year. The manager wanted to say that you have to be tough and come up with a good work, but seeing how angry the artist was, he swallowed his words. Even more uncomfortable are those second and third tier people who want to go to dinner parties as male companions and female companions. They didn't want to compete for a spot on the list at all, because they knew that they didn't have enough status and couldn't compete with the front-line seniors. But now we see another living exception. Why can Zhang Lingzi be invited, but I can't? Zhang Yuding rubbed her temples to relieve her headache. After she came over, Zhang Ziyu had said this back and forth in front of her so many times that her ears were almost calloused. She couldn't bear it anymore and interrupted to remind, "Didn't Mr. Han say that he would let you go in as a female companion when the time comes?" Zhang Ziyu's face suddenly twisted. Before the list came out, she was still proud of it. She was not the only one who competed for Mr. Han's female companionship, but she was the one who won in the end after getting Mr. Han's permission. Furthermore, although Mr. Han is divorced, he is still less than 40, and he is a good-looking man. Coupled with the bonus of his family background, he is definitely considered a favorite in the eyes of everyone. In the final analysis, the female companion is just a vassal. Everyone on the list is invited separately. How can this be the same? Zhang Yuding frowned and looked at Zhang Ziyu, who was incompetent and furious in front of her, and said coolly, "Then what do you want? I'm afraid that if I meet Zhang Lingzi, I'll feel embarrassed, so why don't I go at all? Aren't you afraid of offending Mr. Han?" Boom. It was the sound of Zhang Ziyu couldn't help but kick the coffee table. Zhang Yuding is no longer spoiled by her. In the past, when her mother was in China, she treated Zhang Ziyu, her niece, better than her biological daughter. In addition, at that time, Zhang Ziyu was still quite popular when he stepped on Zhang Lingzi, and she made a lot of money. She also received a lot of shares, so she was naturally willing to support Zhang Ziyu. But now, her mother has gone abroad and there is no news. Zhang Ziyu and Zhang Lingzi are also changing, and the share she gets has also shrunk significantly, so she is not used to this person being as crazy as before. "Okay, the dress Mr. Han ordered for you will be delivered later. Are you sure you want to greet Mr. Han's people like this crazy woman?" Zhang Ziyu then raised his head and said, "Xiao Tao, help me wash my hair." Xiao Tao, who was cleaning up the house, quickly put down the blanket she was folding and followed quickly. When the two of them entered the bathroom one after another, Zhang Yuding chuckled mockingly, unlocked her phone, and clicked on the chat box of one of them. "Have you heard, why did Zhang Lingzi appear on the list?" Asterisk. Zhang Lingzi, who was being discussed by everyone, neither made any preparations to attend the dinner tomorrow, nor did she read the discussions about herself online. She will be at the birthday party of Mr. Zhang Nashuan. She had no intention of going, but who asked the old man to send the invitation to her personally? Invited by the elders, it's impossible not to go now. Zhang Nashuan is celebrating his 70th birthday this time. His old man recognized his granddaughter not long ago, and also found out what his son did behind his back. The granddaughter also made a big mistake because she was jealous of her. This year can be said to have experienced great joy and anger. Just as she was overjoyed, she was again very angry. Feeling that my body is not as good as before. Whether I can live to 80 is a bit uncertain, maybe this will be my last full life. The birthday banquet is especially grand. Zhang Lingzi arrived at the banquet hall either early or late. After giving birthday gifts, he found a seat with his name written on it and sat down. She originally thought she was low-key enough, but as soon as she sat down, someone took the seat next to her. "Mr. Senator, this is not your seat, right?" Her table is considered the main table, and the head seat is Zhang Nashuan, the longevity star himself. Next to it are the seats of Anan and her grandmother, as well as a few people named Nalan, who should be from the old man's in-law family. Even the old man's eldest son's family were not arranged here, but placed on the second table. So she has reason to suspect that this veteran gentleman's target is her. "I just wanted to ask you, is Mr. Shen's collection room open? The old man has been waiting for so many days." Zhang Lingzi. Can she say she forgot? Shen Yunqing has been busy fighting with the Bai family these days, so he probably forgot about it. No wonder the old man was so excited to wait. "Tomorrow, I'll have time tomorrow morning." Shen Yunqing may not have time, but she does. She is more familiar with the so-called collection room than Shen Yunqing, its nominal owner. Yuan Hui looked at Zhang Lingzi silently for a moment. Although he didn't say anything, his whole body exuded the aura that I had been forgotten. Zhang Lingzi was short of breath for no apparent reason. She rarely explained in a low voice, "Something happened a few days ago. Yunqing and I were busy dealing with it and forgot to promise the elder gentleman. I'm really sorry." Yuan Hui, humph. Why can't the old man bear the grievance? Isn't it just waiting for this girl to give in? End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 574. Yuan Hui got the exact promise and got up to leave with the expectation of arriving early tomorrow. As soon as he left, the real owner of the seat next to Zhang Lingzi came over. Su Ling'an and Su Lei helped Gao Lan sit down, one on the left and the other on the right. "When did sister come?" "I just came here not long ago." After sitting down and saying a few words, Su Ling'an was called away by Zhang Nashuan, the birthday boy, and led to a group of friends to introduce and show off. Zhang Lingzi took the teapot and poured a glass of water for Gao Lan, and then motioned Su Lei to help himself. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of Zhang Anfeng's family of 4 walking towards them. On the day of my old man's birthday, the smiles on the faces of these 4 people felt very forced. Especially since there were only a few people who came to talk to me along the way, my smile became even more difficult to maintain. Zhang Lingxian lowered his head after sitting down. The smile on his face disappeared instantly and turned into a gloomy face. As she walked over, she saw that the table where her grandfather and Su Ling'an were sitting were almost all famous figures in the world of calligraphy and painting. These people were invited to birthday banquets in previous years, but neither she nor her father were introduced to them by the old man like Su Ling'an. This is such a big relationship and network. Grandpa actually didn't even consider his father as his own son, and he happily gave it to a girl with a foreign surname like Su Ling'an. Reluctance and injustice are like 2 sharp teeth biting the heart. But what was even more unacceptable to her was yet to come. Zhang Anfeng cheered up and patted his son and daughter on the shoulders. "Okay, don't let me get discouraged. Cheer up. If you ruin my good deeds, both of you will be tight-lipped." Finally, after the old man finished showing off his granddaughter, he returned to his seat to take a breather and drink a cup of tea. The family of 4, who had been quietly paying attention, quickly got up and walked over. "Dad, I brought Lin Yi and Xian Xiaozhou here to wish you a happy birthday." Zhang Nashuan is still angry with his son. I thought that Zhang Nashuan had been upright all his life, but he gave birth to a son who only wanted to make money through crooked ways. Even the granddaughter didn't know if she was influenced by her biological father. She just stared at what others were doing and didn't think about whether she could afford it. She did this and that and ended up getting divorced. Sun Tzu is idle and unable to take on big responsibilities. There is no one he can look at now. Had it not been for the fact that the granddaughter he recognized was so outstanding both in knowledge and character, he would have laughed at himself about the misfortune of his family. Okay, he waved his hand and frowned impatiently, after congratulating you, just go back and sit down and wait for the feast. Zhang Anfeng froze and remained shameless. Seeing his old father's face getting increasingly impatient, he didn't care about Zhang Lingzi and the others who were also sitting at the same table. Dad, when I came here, I saw the invitation list for Yuan's charity dinner came out, your name is also on the list. What? Zhang Nashuan put the cup on the table, does it have anything to do with you? Don't you always dislike going to such occasions? You say you find it too noisy. The invitation is just a piece of waste paper. If you leave it with you, why don't you just give it to me? It will be of greater use if I hold it. Seeing that the old man was silent, Zhang Anfeng hurriedly struck while the iron was hot. I have honestly stopped all the business you didn't let me do before, but the company's vitality is also seriously damaged now. I still support hundreds of people, and they are all going crazy. No more salary. But with the invitation you gave me, maybe at tomorrow's dinner, I can negotiate a big contract that will make the company come back. You're really going to run out of wages? Zhang Anfeng suddenly felt happy, and nodded with some worry on his face. Yes, I paid them honestly for everything you asked me to pay to others, and I didn't miss a single penny from those people. Now the company really doesn't have any money in its account. It is urgent to go back and forth with a large profit. Yuan's charity dinner where celebrities gather is a great opportunity. After all, those celebrities are not short of money and they are all arty. Otherwise, Baba wouldn't have handed the invitation to the old man, because he valued his old man's reputation in the art circle. Even if you don't look at him by then, considering that he is Zhang Nashuan, there should be many good opportunities handed over to him. But the premise is that you can go to the charity dinner with the invitation. Then explain it to the employees carefully, provide compensation and lay off some of them. If you can't support such a big business, don't insist on it. How much ability do you have but you don't know yet? Zhang Anfeng felt as if a bucket of ice water was poured down on him, chilling him to the core. Dad, how can you say that? Why, my suggestion is not pertinent enough. Why should I send my invitation to you? Why didn't I know you were so thick-skinned before? At this time, not to mention Zhang Anfeng himself, even Lin Yi, who was standing next to him, and Zhang Lingxian and Zhang Lingzhou who were following behind, were a little hot-skinned. With so many people, can't the old man save some face for his own son? They completely forgot that they were asking for something that didn't belong to them in the first place. The old man didn't want to give it, and it was the son who refused to give it. Then you don't need the invitation. I'm your biological son. Why can't you use it for me? A flash of hurt flashed across Zhang Nashuan's eyes, but no one noticed. It seems that you are either here to wish me a birthday, or you just want to come to get the invitation. Who said I won't need this invitation? I really want it this time. I'm ready to go there. Dad, are you talking out of anger? Roll. Dad, would you like your son to accompany you? It's enough if Anan is with me. There's no need for you to pretend to be filial to me here. Shut up and get out of here. Get out of here. As the old man's voice grew uncontrollably, guests at other tables around him looked over. Feeling that there were pointing eyes all around, Zhang Anfeng was completely shameless and continued to stand in front of him. He glanced at Su Ling'an who had taken advantage of him, turned around and left in a stride. Why are you still here, standing there, and continuing to be embarrassed? Lin Yi was even more timid when facing the old man. When she saw the old man looking towards her, she quickly turned around and left following her husband. Leaving the siblings behind, Zhang Nashuan softened his tone and said, You too. Grandpa, Xiaozhou, and I are going to see our parents. Before he had time to say, "Go back to your seat and wait for your meal," Zhang Nashuan swallowed it back. Watching the siblings walk away, he called the waiter and pointed to the next table, "Remove that table for me. Looking at myocardial infarction is annoying." Even though Zhang and Feng's family of 4 were scolded by the old man and left, no one at the dinner table dared to speak for a while. Still a little bit sad. This 70th birthday is the only one in his life. Zhang and Feng chose this moment to trouble the old man. It really makes people don't know what to say. Perhaps he thought that the old man had to agree no matter what in front of so many people. Who would have thought that I would meet a tough old man? "Mr. Zhang, can this invitation to the UN charity dinner be regifted? What if someone accidentally loses it and is picked up by someone else to attend with the invitation?" As soon as Zhang Lingzi spoke, the atmosphere at the table suddenly relaxed. "It can be transferred as a gift, but you must inform the organizer in advance and change the guest status. Even if you pick it up, you won't be able to get in. That's quite serious. By the way, are you really planning to take in there?" Having said all the words just now, Zhang Nashuan nodded, "Go, so that you don't have to worry about others all the time. You can also gain some experience." Everyone who heard this said. Fortunately Zhang and Feng is gone. The opportunity that he wanted, even if he offended the old man at the birthday banquet, was now used by the old man to educate the younger generation. If you hear about this different treatment, you should be so depressed that you vomit blood. End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 575. Without Zhang and Feng's family, the ensuing birthday banquet was peaceful. On the day of his 70th birthday, no one wanted to take advantage of this time to make the birthday man unhappy. Except for a guy who thinks he is the son of the birthday girl and has nothing to fear. Zhang Lingxian and Zhang Lingzhou chased their parents out and stopped again when they saw their father's face, which was too dark to see. If they get close to each other now, will they be used as a punching bag? "Sister, is it so difficult to get an invitation letter? Dad still has to beg Grandpa," in such a low voice. Zhang Lingxian looked at his younger brother's stupid face and said, "You don't want to ask your good buddies to find a solution, do you? Just calm down, the circle you are in can't even reach the threshold of the UN family." "Sister, why do you look down on people? I still have a few buddies with good hands and eyes." "Then just give it a try. Just give it a try, sister. Tell Dad, and I'll find someone to get him the invitation letter for UN's charity." Zhang Lingxian watched helplessly as the boy greased his feet and ran away. It took him a while to react. This is not to share worries for the elders, but to escape from the anger that may spread to him next. She really believed this kid's evil deeds. "Xian Xian." Zhang Lingxian, who was about to imitate others, froze and turned around. "Dad, did you call me?" Zhang and Feng walked up to his daughter and looked at his eldest daughter with a sullen face, who had not been giving birth at home during this period and was already going further and further into ruin. "Tonight, I will take you to have dinner with Mr. Ho of the Ho family." Zhang Lingxian subconsciously took a step back, eyes widening in disbelief. Even Lin Yi, who was following, was stunned. "And Feng, what do you want to do?" Zhang and Feng pointed at Zhang Lingxian. "She stays at home every day and does nothing, and even goes crazy from time to time. The company is struggling to make ends meet. She no longer works in the company, but the money spent is not less. What do you think? What do you want, for such a grown-up person to just rely on his parents to feed him until he dies?" He paused and said, "It's time to play some role." Lin Yi opened her mouth to refute, but seeing her daughter's face getting fatter and duller from all the hard work at home, "Mr. Ho er. What's wrong with Mr. Ho? After all, he is also a member of the Ho family, and he is also on the dinner list. If he enjoys this meal, Xian might be able to accompany him to the dinner tomorrow. The old man doesn't want to take that girl with him." Well, I just want the old man to see that we can get in without relying on him. As soon as Lin Yi heard her husband's words, she knew that he was getting into trouble, but seeing the person next to her pillow gnashing her teeth, she opened her mouth several times and didn't dare to remind him. He could only turn around and look at his daughter, and said with difficulty, "Your father is doing this for your own good. You are already 30 now, you are still divorced, and you have no job. If you want to get married." Zhang Lingxian quickly shook his head wildly, "I don't want to get married." Zhang Anfeng sneered directly, "You are still thinking about getting back together with Jian Yishan. Since the last time you called me drunk in the middle of the night and harassed her, your number is still on her blacklist. By the way, give it to her again. Let me tell you the news. Jian Yishan took his children abroad for further study a few days ago. If he won't be able to come back for 2 or 3 years, then you should give up." What Zhang Lingxian was planning to scream was the ultimatum from his biological father: "You have to go to this meal if you don't want to go, it's okay if you don't go, just clean yourself and leave the house, the money in the house belongs to me and your mother, your mourning once you pay it off, go rent a house and find a job to support yourself." Mom. Although Lin Yi owns a high-end restaurant, it was only opened with her husband's support and investment. At this moment, facing her daughter's pleading eyes, she said, "Xian, my parents will never harm you. Mr. Ho, although you are a bit carefree, there is nothing consistent in our circle. Isn't it the same with your father? At least you can live a prosperous life without working. You have to learn to be content, right?" Zhang Lingxian finally lowered his head, his eyes darkened. "I listen to Dad. This is a good girl for my parents." Asterisk. Zhang Lingzi returned to Ziwan directly after the birthday banquet. Thinking about taking the elder gentleman to visit the paintings that have been placed in the collection room tomorrow, and then going back to her own residence to do makeup, it would be a bit stressful. I simply sent another message to Tongyu and asked her to come directly to Ziwan tomorrow with the makeup team and the dress. Tongyu was silent for a moment after receiving the message. "Zioxi, is there anything I need to pay attention to after arriving at Z1? This is her first time going to Mr. Shen's territory, so she cannot be too careful. Zhang Lingzi, tell me when you are about to arrive, and I will have someone pick you up at the gate. Just don't wander around after that, or you might get lost." "Get lost?" Tongyu swallowed a mouthful of sour water, nodded and replied, "I understand, treasure." Zhang Lingzi. Tongyu and the others sent someone to pick him up, but when Mr. Yuan arrived, it was Zhang Lingzi who went to pick him up personally. Zhang Lingzi was stunned for a moment when she saw people getting out of the car. "When we met at the birthday banquet yesterday, the old man only wore a somewhat casual Tuanfa pattern tang suit. But today, he wears a full suit, leather shoes, tie, cufflinks and brooch, and even his hair is neatly styled. I combed my hair back and sprayed some hairspray for visual inspection. Just look at a painting, is it so grand?" That made her feel a little embarrassed when she came out to greet him wearing the sportswear she wore during morning exercises. "Mr. Senator, please come in." Yuan Hui took out an exquisite cane from the car and looked up at the word Z1 above the gate. "This word is really good. Was it written by Mr. Shen?" Zhang Lingzi nodded, and while leading people inside, she silently replied in her heart, "I am also the subject of your research. He left for the company early this morning. I will accompany you to visit the collection room." Yuan Hui smiled and nodded, saying it didn't matter, as long as the old man can see the painting, that's fine. Actually, not only does he have blue waves and everything, but he also has a painting called Guangsha Thousand Chongs. They are all made from one old piece, so naturally they are all included. Yuan Hui originally wanted to appreciate the beauty of Z1 more. Even in winter, this garden is still as beautiful as a painting, even worse than that of their calligraphy and painting association. However, as soon as Zhang Lingzi said these words, his steps immediately doubled as fast. Are they all authentic works by the divine painter? Let's go, then I have to appreciate them. To this, John Lindsay just wanted to say, the old man's legs and feet are so good. Thousands of ancient paintings that are truly well preserved, not to mention that people are not allowed to get close and touch them with their hands. Not only do they need to be separated by a glass cover, but there are also requirements for indoor lighting to preserve the ancient paintings. Although these two paintings are actually aged now, in order to strive for authenticity, the same treatment was also done in the collection room. John Lindsay brought the people there, opened the door, turned on the special light, and was about to invite the people in. Looking back, he saw the old man taking out a pair of brand new shoe covers from the pocket of his straight suit jacket. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 576. After shoe covers, there are gloves. John Lindsay. She said sincerely, you are so well prepared. When John Lindsay led him to the glass where the two paintings were kept, he saw the old man taking out a magnifying glass from his pocket. She glanced at the treasure chest-like pocket and didn't want to say anything. But there's nothing else for her to do next. The old man held a magnifying glass and stretched his neck to look at the painting. He was so focused that she asked twice if she wanted to take a break and go out for a cup of tea, but she didn't get the slightest response. Just walk out by yourself and leave the space to this old man. At the speed at which Mr. Yuen is reading paintings, John Lindsay sipped her saliva and told Xiaoji, who came to deliver tea, please give me an extra pair of bowls and chopsticks for lunch. She thinks this old man can look at paintings until the afternoon. As expected, when it was almost time for lunch, there was still no movement in the darkroom next to me. Shen Yunqing came back from the company after finishing his work. Along the way, he found His Majesty drinking tea and eating snacks, looking at the ajar door of the darkroom from time to time. I suddenly understood, Mr. Elder, haven't you left yet? John Lindsay just poured a cup of tea and handed it to him. No, the master painter Mr. Shen Yunqing took the cup with one hand and was just about to drink when he heard such a joke and subconsciously covered the mouth of the person in front of him. John Lindsay pulled his hand away and said, don't worry, I just shouted in the old man's ear and there was no response. Shen Yunqing. That is indeed fascinating. It's almost dinner time. John Lindsay stood up and pressed her shoulder, you sit here and I'll go in and take a look. Don't look at the paintings until you faint from hunger. As soon as she entered, she happened to bump into this old man. She didn't know whether he had stayed in the same position for too long or was really hungry. When he raised his head, he staggered. Hurrying over to help the person, how are you, Senator? Ouch, Yuan Hui came to his senses, smiled apologetically, and said with some self-deprecation, I'm so old, thank you Miss Zhang. You're welcome, it's dinner time now, why don't you go out for a meal first? This. I can continue reading after I come back from dinner. Then you are not busy in the afternoon, I can't delay your time. This painting is too precious, and he was too embarrassed to say that he could just leave me here to look at the painting. John Lindsay shook her head, I just have a dinner party to attend in the evening, and I need to do some makeup in the afternoon. I'm not too busy. Oh, that's good. Yuan Hui turned around and walked out this time. The dinner party tonight, are you talking about the one held by the original family? You know this too? It seems you didn't pay attention to the list announced by the original family, Yuan Hui said, taking out a familiar invitation letter from his pocket that John Lindsay had called a treasure chest behind his back. Haha, I'll go too. John Lindsay, I really didn't pay attention. If she had paid attention earlier, She wouldn't have been stunned when she saw this old man wearing a suit and leather shoes. This is just a coincidence, let's go there together then. Zhang Lingzi looked at the closeness in the old man's eyes, smiled and nodded, okay. Coming out of the darkroom, Yuan Hui saw Shen Yunqing and said, Mr. Shen is back. Mr. Senator, lunch is ready, come back and look at the paintings after dinner. That old man is not welcome after lunch. Yuan Hui did not take a break, so he returned to the two paintings that fascinated him. Zhang Lingzi did not go with him this time. After a short nap, Tong Yu came over with others. A few people followed Xiaoji, who came to greet them, into Z1. They chatted quietly at first, but then they all became silent. This silence lasted until they saw Zhang Lingzi. There was a beautiful beauty's couch by the window, which was carefully carved and made with great effort. The person they wanted to see sat on the beauty's couch. The sunlight coming in from the window passed through the glass, and a few rays happened to fall on the beauty's face. In the floating light and shadow, broken gold brushes against the face, outlining and erasing the outlines and shadows that are difficult to describe with a brush. Some people couldn't help but take a breath, but they didn't dare to make a loud noise, for fear that the noise would wake them up. At the same time, he said silently in his heart, I finally understand why the ancient kings ranked being drunk and lying on the knees of a beautiful woman only after waking up and taking over the power of the world. If she is such a beautiful woman, who would not want to replace her? But when the beauty noticed the movement, opened her eyes and looked over slightly, she felt completely different from before. That look can sternly scold Fang Qiu, and the color can only be reduced to a foil. More like a king. Woke up. You are here. Shen Yunqing and Zhang Lingzi spoke out almost at the same time. Their eyes all moved to the other side, and they saw Shen Yunqing sitting in front of a short table making tea. A gentleman is as good as jade. It was Tong Yu who came to her senses first, cleared her throat, and called out first, Mr. Shen. The other people who had woken up also quickly said hello. You guys come all the way, have a cup of tea and take a break first. Oh, okay, thank you Mr. Shen. Even Lu Zhengzheng, who usually has a carefree personality, was sitting on the chair used to entertain guests. He straightened his back subconsciously and took a sip from his small teacup. I always feel that if I act too rude, I don't deserve to be in such an elegant place. Zhang Lingzi waited until they finished drinking tea and seemed to relax a little before she asked, what clothes have you prepared today? Mr. Shen of Shanyu's Haihang sent several sets early in the morning. Xiao 11, you can see which one you like first, and then let Xiao match your makeup. Xiao nodded quickly. The clothes are packaged separately and placed in a box specially designed for dresses. After taking them out, they are hung directly on the folding hangers that were brought with them. When you open the package, you can see the dress without any trace of wrinkles. Shen Chui also knew that Zhang Lingzi would attend the Yuan's charity dinner tonight. It was the first time she would appear at a dinner of this size, so naturally she would have to spend a lot of money. There are 6 sets of dresses for selection, and they have never been seen on the market before. First where? Zhang Lingzi glanced at each dress, and finally pointed at it, this one. Tong Yu immediately raised her eyebrows. Meeting Zhang Lingzi's gaze, she explained, Mr. Shen chatted with me on the phone this morning and asked me which one you were most likely to choose. We both voted for this one. The black diamond fishtail dress is the most tightly wrapped among the 6 dresses. The shoulders are slightly wider and stiffer, and the skirt is as elegant as water. The black color is mysterious, the features on the shoulders are domineering, and the hem of the skirt does not lose its femininity. However, although the possibility of an accident at the dinner party is very low, you have to choose another set as a backup just in case. Zhang Lingzi had just opened the door to the inner room with clothes in hand. Hearing this, she turned her head and called to Shen Yunqing who was passing by, come here, help me choose the other one. End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 577. When Zhang Lingzi changed into a dress and came out, she saw a dress hanging alone on the other side of the hanger. I knew it. Aware that everyone was a little reserved around him, Shen Yunqing left after helping Zhang Lingzi pick out clothes. At this moment, Lu Zhengzheng happily came over to admire the beautiful woman wearing a beautiful dress, and asked casually, "What do you know?" I knew he would choose this. Isn't this a disguised form of talking about telepathy? Everyone was caught off guard and fed a mouthful of dog food. Xiao Xiao just helped Zhang Lingzi go inside to change into a dress. Now when he came out, he also took a look at the selected alternative dresses. Lined with white brocade, the hand-embroidered phoenix extends from the side waist to the shoulders, exquisite and powerful. The lower body is a bright antique-style red skirt interspersed with gold threads, and the skirt is also embroidered with exquisite phoenix feathers and birds. If she remembers correctly, the name of this dress is 100 Birds Chao Huang. At the same time, I began to think about how I would change my makeup if I really had to change into this outfit in case of an accident. This set is suitable for more classic makeup. The next makeup session took nearly an hour. Fortunately, Lu Zhengzheng and the others were chatting away in the room. Zhang Lingzi squinted her eyes and let Xiao Xiao smear it on her face, while listening to the gossip with her ears straightened. Tong Yu suddenly walked over and said, "Bao, I suddenly remembered that Mr. Shen's name seems to be on the list of Yuan's charity dinner. It shouldn't be the same name, right?" She had some doubts about this before coming to Z1. But now, she estimated that just owning such a house was enough to be on the dinner list. Zhang Lingzi replied directly, "He is. That you? He will do his thing, and I will do mine. We have agreed before that we will not be in the same frame in front of the public before the TV series is aired. We cannot hide it. Everyone can see at a glance that it is fishy. This will prevent everyone from feeling uncomfortable when watching the TV series. Awkward. Of course, it doesn't count as an accident. After all, it was something we didn't expect." Tong Yu. It took a while to hold back her evaluation of this approach. "You guys are really self-conscious." She thinks Director Wei should give an award to his own artist. Even if I didn't even remind you, people knew that since they couldn't hide it, they simply avoided it. Of course, she felt that Director Wei might not dare to say it. Zhang Lingzi smiled and accepted the praise, "But there is indeed someone who went with me." "Who?" "Mr. Elder." "Old Elder." Tong Yu's mind was spinning very fast at this moment, mainly because the surname Yuan was rare, and he was an old man. Before, Yu and Mr. Shen were at the Calligraphy and Painting Association, and accidentally entered the live broadcast room of a program. That person, an outspoken old gentleman. "That's right, it's him." "You, how do you?" "Mr. Yuan is also in Z1, and he should be looking at the paintings collected by Yun Qing. When we chatted in the morning, we found out that each other had invitations to the dinner, so we might as well go there together." When Tong Yu found out that her artist was not going to attend the dinner party with Mr. Shen, Tong Yu felt a little regretful. The UN charity dinner alone is already quite popular, and it occupies the front row of hot searches for several days before and after it is held every year. If Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing were present together, she felt that it was not unreasonable to think that it would be number one on the hot search list. Now we have to work with that veteran gentleman. Although the popularity is definitely not as high as that of Mr. Shen, he has a high status in the art circle and has a noble status. It's not bad to think about it this way. After all, the entertainment industry is really getting more and more complicated now. It's not enough to just be beautiful and have a good figure. You also need to have good acting skills and works. Even singers are getting better and better looking. If there are more, several other specialties are naturally better. Furthermore, those who engage in art are basically aloof, and few of them are involved in the entertainment industry. The veteran's willingness to attend the dinner party with his own artist already represents an attitude of appreciation. Moreover, the other party is old enough to be Zhang Lingzi's grandfather, so even those who are thoughtful will not have any special thoughts about the relationship between the two. Generally speaking, the combination of the old and the young, the art circle and the entertainment circle, has both advantages and disadvantages for our artists. Tong Yu felt a little relieved. By the time I finished putting on makeup, it was already past 3 in the afternoon. The dinner starts at 5 o'clock. The invited celebrities also have the task of warm up, and they are the first wave to enter. At that time, there will be media filming. As for the really invited celebrities from all walks of life and members of major families, those who don't care about exposure or even like to appear in front of the public can also go to the red carpet. The main thing is to be casual. If you don't want to show up, just enter in a low-key manner. There is no need for Zhang Lingzi to deliberately guess. Shen Yunqing must be too lazy to face the shot of a long gun and a short gun, and will definitely choose the latter. I'm going to call Mr. Elder. Zhang Lingzi waved her hand. The dress she is wearing looks good, but it is not very convenient for movement and she cannot take too many steps. Since Shen Yunqing set off later than her, she should work hard. You can't let the summer solstice pass. Tong Yu withdrew her gaze from Shen Yunqing's back, then turned to look at Zhang Lingzi, who was sitting on a chair leisurely eating snacks to cushion her stomach in case she was not full at night. She couldn't help but be speechless for a moment. In the eyes of the Yuan family who held the charity dinner, Zhang Lingzi was just a little star who was just showing off. But if she remembered correctly, Mr. Shen's name was among the top 5 on the list. She also checked the ones above and found that the youngest one was over 50. The weight of this ranking is not unimportant. If people from the original family saw the two of them getting along in private, they would probably be shocked. Yuan Hui and Shen Yunqing came back together. Everyone stood up one after another. Oh, it seems like this old man like me can be the center of attention for once today. Zhang Lingzi originally wanted to say that if the old man didn't want to walk on the red carpet and face many cameras, he would leave when they got to the dinner venue. Hearing the words, he swallowed the words silently. Mr. Senator, let's set off. Let's go, this is my first time walking on the red carpet, old man. Fortunately, my outfit today didn't embarrass Miss Zhang. As he was about to leave, Shen Yunqing silently handed over a coat. Remember to wear clothes when you are outside, and take them off after you go in. Zhang Lingzi let him put on his coat and said, see you at the venue. As soon as the people left, the originally bustling hall suddenly became quiet. Shen Yunqing walked to the window and looked at the figure who was being surrounded by people leaving. Under the coat he put on himself, there was a floor-length fishtail skirt studded with diamonds. Every time he took a step, lotuses appeared step by step, which was beautiful. It's thrilling. Xiaoji came in to clean up the used teacups on the tea table. He glanced at the figure standing at the window watching His Majesty leave, and couldn't help but sniff. This air smells a little sour. End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 578. Tong Yu drove over the luxury nanny car equipped by the company. Zhang Lingzi invited Yuan Hui to sit with him. This car is nice, spacious, and has such a big TV. Tong Yu was sitting in the passenger seat. Hearing this, he turned around and said, Mr. Elder, this was just equipped by the company for Xiao 11 not long ago. This shows that your company is very optimistic about Miss Zhang and has a good vision. That's what you always said. The journey took almost half an hour, and after getting rid of the traffic jam, Lu Zhengzheng took out the remote control and turned on the TV. Accidentally clicked on the live broadcast channel. After seeing the live broadcast screen and the live broadcast account clearly, he couldn't help but widened his eyes and exclaimed, It's UN's account. This year's charity dinner was actually broadcast live. This is an operation that has never been done before. The question is that the organizers are not too worried about the excitement. This dinner party has not started yet, but the outside of the venue according to the live broadcast camera is not deserted at all. The major media have already arranged for their personnel to squat with guns and cannons. Outside the cordon, there are many fans holding invited celebrity lights or banners. In the flash of the scene, several people in the car also saw several light signs with Zhang Lingzi printed on them. Fan Yao's eyes were shining. Sister Zixi, there are also your fans. Saw it? If the scene under the camera is no longer deserted, then the live broadcast room has already become lively. I thought this time would be the same as before. As a general public, we could only watch the edited version later. I didn't expect that this would have the benefit of a full live broadcast. Thinking about it this way, they can be regarded as participating in a charity dinner in the live broadcast room. So even before the event started, hundreds of thousands of viewers had already flooded into the live broadcast room, and the number was still growing rapidly. The barrage is also very lively. The live broadcast was started unexpectedly, and I felt that this charity dinner was going to be a big event. Same guess, I just don't know if the big guys at the top of the list will show up. Compared with those celebrities who can find a lot of information with just one search, I am more curious about these big bosses who never see the end. Same curiosity, but big guys generally keep a low profile. If they really don't want to show up, the organizer must respect the other party's choice. I have made a discovery. I wonder if anyone has noticed it? Shen Yunqing, who is commonly known as the big boss and is at the top of the list, could he be Mr. Shen who once appeared in The Legend of Calligraphy and Painting? Someone finally said it, and I also discovered it, but I just didn't dare to discuss it. After all, it ranks so high on the list, it's the boss among the bosses. Unlikely, reason, too young. Maybe they have the same name. This is true. It is said that there are many more people invited this year than in previous years. Even the invited celebrities whose quota has not changed have been added this year. There has been a lot of discussion on the internet these days, and many people are questioning why Zhang Lingzi is on the list. It can only be said that UN's charity dinner no longer only focuses on the celebrity status, but also starts to consider the popularity of celebrities. It is probably a brand new attempt. If it is as guessed above, then Zhang Lingzi is really lucky this time. Given Zhang Lingzi's status, he should be the first to appear. There were discussions about everything on the barrage. Lu Zhengzheng originally wanted to turn off the barrage, but Zhang Lingzi stopped him. Keep reading, it's quite interesting. Yuan Hui silently took out his mobile phone from his treasure box pocket and sent a message. If he remembered correctly, Lao Cao also received an invitation letter, and his granddaughter has also gone into the entertainment industry. There is a high probability that he will take his granddaughter to the red carpet this time. Given Lao Cao's status, he should have appeared at the back with his granddaughter. Originally, it didn't matter to him whether he walked in front or behind. If he went in first, he could turn on the air conditioner earlier. But now that I see the chatter on the barrage and everything, I start to pay more attention to it. Miss Zhang has to line up behind that girl Cao Xinyan, otherwise there's no telling what the boss will say. They have 2 invitations, so it shouldn't be difficult to request the organizer like this. The original family member who received the news. I didn't want to understand my head. Why did the veteran and Zhang Lingzi make up? But in addition to his high status in the art circle, Mr. Yuan is also the younger brother of that person. Although the other party has never disclosed his identity, they can't help but consider it. Calling the staff who coordinated the order of appearance, Mr. Yuan Lao and Zhang Lingzi enter the hall together. Please change their order of entry. They must line up behind President Cao of the Painting and Calligraphy Association and her granddaughter. Employee who was called. This is a big change. Car park in the designated parking space for the event. As soon as the car door opened, there were security personnel wearing suits and ear clips to receive them. There was also a direct descendant of the original family who was arranged to come over. When he saw Yuan Hui getting out of the car, he quickly bowed and said, "Hello, Mr. Yuan Hui is here. Please come this way." The old man who was watching the barrage and chatting with everyone in the car before saw the people coming to greet him. He immediately raised his arms, nodded reservedly and gave a slight hum. Looking back at Zhang Lingzi, who was getting out of the car with her skirt lifted. The younger generation of the Yuan family had been greeted before arriving. When they learned that Mr. Yuan was coming with Zhang Lingzi, they followed him and looked over. A look of astonishment suddenly appeared in his eyes. However, he was also a member of the Shen family and the Bai family. Facing this beautiful girl who made the head of the Shen family furious, he honestly looked away after taking one look at it. "Good afternoon, Miss Zhang." Tong Yu had already gotten out of the car in the passenger seat. She originally thought that the two people who came were receptionists, but now she was a little unsure. While hesitating, a bright yellow supercar parked opposite their nanny car, and a young man got out of the car with a lollipop in his mouth and looked over. "Hey, Tang Tang Yuan Sanshao actually came to pick me up in person. Tong Yu. Is it the former third young master she knows?" Zhang Lingzi held the elder's arm and got out of the car. The old man and the young man all looked at the person who spoke. Seeing the young man's careless look, he immediately stopped. He took out the lollipop in his mouth and put it behind his back. "It turns out to be Mr. Elder. I'm rude to you, this junior." Yuan Hui knew this person, and he came to Yuan's house to pay his respects during the Chinese New Year. He nodded slightly and said, "Since we have bumped into each other, let's go up together." "Youth, yes." Lu Zhengzheng and others, who got off the car behind, said. If the person coming is not a celebrity, then it can only be a member of the big family on the previous list, a famous son. You still have to behave in front of Mr. Senator. To this they just want to say, Mr. Senator is mighty and domineering. Zhang Lingzi was also a little thoughtful when she saw this. People from the Yuan family of the organizer can come to greet him in person, and the unruly young man who can casually tease Yuan Sanshao has to be obedient in front of the old man. It seems that Mr. Elder's identity is not just as simple as the vice president of the Painting and Calligraphy Association. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 579. Before the event started, the guests who arrived with invitations were sent to the lounge first. However, this lounge is also separated and divided into different circles. All the stars in the entertainment industry occupy a large lounge, and even though many of them are rivals, on this occasion, although they are still competing for beauty in private, they are all looking like Hello and me on the surface. Hello everyone. The art circle also has its own room. There is also a tea room and coffee corner in the lounge, and the interior furnishings also show elegant taste. The only thing that is a little special is that the members of the major families who have been invited are small lounges. The last names of each family are hung at the door to distinguish them and prevent them from accidentally walking in the wrong direction. There is a reason for this arrangement. The major families are not harmonious. Some even have various competitions. They have been fighting with each other for decades, and some even the younger members of the family have stopped interacting with each other. Just like the Shen family and the Bai family this time, as long as the people of the original family are not stupid, they will never arrange the two families together. Even this time, the lounges of the two families were deliberately far apart, for fear that the two families would bump into each other and cause trouble before the event even started. The lounge originally arranged by the Yuan family for Zhang Lingzi was naturally the one belonging to the entertainment industry, but after knowing that she was with the veteran gentleman, when passing by the entertainment industry lounge, the third young master Yuan who led the way did not stop and walk straight away. We didn't stop until we reached the artist's lounge further inside. "Mr. Senator, Miss Zhang, please come inside." The door to the lounge was pushed open, and everyone who was chatting indoors subconsciously looked toward the door. "Hey, Lao Yuan." The man who was the first to see clearly that the person who came was Yuan Hui suddenly stopped him mid-sentence. Old Yuan didn't come alone. Everyone present knew that this old man had devoted his whole life to the cause of art. He had no wife or children. He was alone and always liked to be alone. This time I actually had a young girl with me. Many people's eyes were more or less surprised. Has this old man changed his gender? Or a new disciple? All the people who had always been obsessed with art and paid little attention to the entertainment industry did not recognize Zhang Lingzi for a while, until they saw an old man and a young man walking in to take a seat. One of them slapped his forehead and said, "You are Zhang Lingzi, right?" Although Zhang Lingzi didn't recognize the gray-haired old man in front of her, she still nodded politely, "I am. Let me tell you, my little granddaughter has told me several times that Zhang Lingzi will be here today. If we meet her, see if I can get her an autograph." He took out a photo from the pocket of his tang suit. "Come. This is also the latest single poster of Empress Yuan Zhao released on the official account not long ago." Zhang Lingzi, "Okay. That's great, come on, here's a pen. I don't know if I am afraid that so many artists will be bored, but there is a large table with pens, inks, paper and inkstones placed in the lounge. There are two people standing in front of the table writing and drawing." After listening to the two people talking, it turned out that they were in a hurry and didn't prepare the items for charity auction later. So they just wrote some words and pictures on the spot, and they could be auctioned directly later. Anyway, even if they want to bring auction items, they basically bring their own calligraphy and paintings. Zhang Lingzi, inexplicably, I got the real reason why the organizers specially arranged this table. Taking the pen handed over by the old man who was asking for his granddaughter's signature, Zhang Lingzi pinched the tip of the pen, tried not to cover the people in the photo, and signed her name smoothly. The old man who was watching Zhang Lingzi's signature on the side lit up when she made the first stroke. As soon as she signed her name, he couldn't wait to pick up the photo and put on the reading glasses in his pocket. Good calligraphy. Yuan Hui, who was walking over after him, snorted softly when he heard the words, "I don't know anything about it." He has already seen Miss Jiang's calligraphy. Although his reaction at that time was similar to what he is doing now, who knows that he is now able to calm down when he speaks. The old man who was writing on the side and preparing to use it as an auction item couldn't help but look over after putting down his pen. "Let me have a look. How great would it be if a little girl's words could make these two old guys agree?" It made him curious too. So a signed photo passed through several hands in the blink of an eye. Someone else asked Yuan Hui directly, "Old Yuan, the disciple you just accepted? Why don't you even know how to greet us guys? Why are you afraid that we will rob you?" Yuan Hui's eyes widened and he was about to explain when he heard a familiar voice coming from behind him. "It was so lively right after I went out. Who else has arrived? What were you talking about just now? What are you trying to rob?" "President CAO. President CAO is back. He is an old senator. He also brought a junior here today." The two little girls look about the same age. They should have something to say. Girl Xinyan doesn't need to be bored now. "Hey, isn't Xinyan going to the entertainment industry? It just so happens that the girl Lao Yuan brought here seems to be an actress as well. Do you two know each other?" The two people mentioned raised their eyes and looked at each other. Zhang Lingzi's eyes were calm and unwavering. Although she didn't know that Cao Xinyan would also come, the elder was invited as the vice president of the Calligraphy and Painting Association, and the president was most likely also invited. On this occasion, how could CAO Zinyan, who had entered the entertainment industry and was looking for ways to gain more fame, give up this opportunity? So she was not surprised to see this man. But CAO Zinyan did not have such a good psychological quality. When she saw Zhang Lingzi standing in this lounge instead of the celebrity lounge next door, she almost couldn't control her expression for a moment. Han gritted his teeth to avoid saying, "Why are you here?" Originally, she was a little complacent, so what if Zhang Lingzi got the invitation letter? Among the guests invited today, even celebrities are just the most insignificant group of people. The ones that really mattered were those whom Grandpa took her to visit in person just now. As a result, when I came back from the visit, I saw someone who shouldn't be here. Facing the ridicule from all the elders, CAO Zinyan reluctantly raised her lips and smiled. "Why don't you know me? I just entered the entertainment industry, and Sister Ling 11 is my senior." Zhang Lingzi closed her mouth after seeing her finish speaking. Her cheeks were a little tight and she seemed to be gritting her teeth. Then she nodded lightly. "We had a chance encounter. It's just a bad fate that didn't happen to anything good." President CAO was the only one present who felt that his granddaughter's hand holding his arm was a little tight, and his whole mood was a little off after seeing the girl named Zhang Lingzi. He patted his granddaughter's forearm comfortingly and walked forward. "Why are they all gathered here?" Then his eyes fell on the pen that had not been put back in Zhang Lingzi's hand. "Young lady has just arrived, and you have already passed the test." End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 580. Although all the invited artists present can, in principle, bring someone with them. But in fact not that many people do this, most of them come alone. After all, everyone has a desire to compare. When you bring more juniors, you will inevitably want to see whose child has more potential. If it beats other children and proves that your child is more promising, then that's fine. If it can't be compared, it will be uncomfortable for both adults and children. Just like the granddaughter of the old man who just asked Zhang Lingzi for an autograph and a photo, when she thought of having to face the possible assessments of the old artists her grandfather knew, she reluctantly gave up even the chance of face-to-face contact with her favorite celebrities. Therefore, the juniors who can be brought here must be good enough. Otherwise, there is really nothing you can do in such an occasion. Yuan Hui also knew in his heart that Zhang Lingzi was capable and could be recognized by his colleagues present, so he brought the person in without saying a word. CAO Zinyan came with her grandfather before. As chairman CAO's favorite granddaughter who has been taught calligraphy and painting since she was a child, she naturally also showed off her pen skills and won praises from several elders. That's why President CAO asked such a question at this meeting. But it was okay if he didn't say that, but when he said it, CAO Zinyan felt even more nervous. Grandpa didn't know Zhang Lingzi's ability, but she had seen Zhang Lingzi's works with her own eyes, and she even lost a big ugly person who didn't dare to speak out about it when she got home. If Grandpa gets interested and lets her compete with Zhang Lingzi. Thinking about the social death she might face next, she paused in her steps and said, "Grandpa, let me make a pot of tea for all the elders to try." Even though she had practiced calligraphy and painting hard during this period, the self-confidence that was hurt before has not been restored yet, and her mentality may have affected her performance abnormally, so it is better to find another way. She also learned how to make tea from elementary school, and even became a master of a well-known tea art master in the industry. She didn't believe that Zhang Lingzi could even compare to her. Chairman CAO looked at his granddaughter walking towards the tea table with her skirt in hand, feeling like she was running away. When the signed photo that had been circulated several times fell into his hands, and looking at the 3 words written casually but still showing a bit of edge, President CAO was silent for a moment and nodded. "Young people are to be feared." Handed the photo back, he looked at his granddaughter who was sitting at the tea table with her eyes lowered and making tea seriously. Suddenly, he realized why his granddaughter, who was always a bit naughty and aggressive, avoided Zhang Lingzi. I don't want to humiliate myself. Yuan Hui finally explained to everyone that Zhang Lingzi was not his disciple. He would like to take it, but he must have someone who can teach him. Not to mention, my boyfriend is still Mr. Shen. Why bother to seek the distance rather than the near one? He still has the self-awareness. Just like that girl from the CAO family who honestly avoided this place and ran to make tea. The fragrance of tea fills the air. Yuan Hui took a sip from the teacup handed over by Cao Xinyan, squinted and nodded, the tea is good. Lao Cao's granddaughter still has some merits. Amidst the praises, Cao Xinyan cast a proud look in the direction of Zhang Lingzi with great satisfaction. Zhang Lingzi, who was lowering his head and sending a message to Shen Yunqing asking if he had set off, sorry, I didn't receive it. Asterisk. As the event was about to start, people were coming and going in the corridor outside the lounge. Zhang Lingxian absent-mindedly took the second young Master Ho's arm and got out of the elevator. He took out the mobile phone in his handbag and lowered his head to check the message. He took a step forward, and then heard a stab. At this moment, she didn't care to read what her father had told her in the message. She moved her phone away and looked at her toes. Exquisite pointed high heels, with a piece of grey-pink gauze under your feet. Looking up, he saw the angry face of the person in front of him. Don't you even know where to look when you're walking? I don't know why, but Zhang Lingxian felt a sense of unreasonable disgust when he looked at the young and beautiful face in front of him. He responded without thinking, it's not time to walk on the red carpet yet, and the hem of the skirt is so long that I don't even know how to lift it. Come on, use this as a mop, so don't let anyone step on it. I just like dragging you away, do you care? Zhang Ziyu not only did not wait to apologize, but even the tulle on the dress was still stepped on by the other party. Looking at the torn piece of tulle, for a moment he even had the intention of killing people. After looking at the woman in front of him, he said as viciously as he could, a middle-aged lady actually wears such gorgeous makeup and wears such a tight-fitting dress that exposes her arms and belly. You can see the fat on your face, but you don't know who gave you the courage. Zhang Lingxian originally didn't like her makeup and dress today, but young Master Ho, who had been told by his father to fawn over him, liked this one and was still reluctant to put it on before going out. At this point, the point that you care about most and want to ignore the most is violently attacked. The emotion that you had been suppressing suddenly lost control, and you pounced on it without any reason. I told you to say it, I will tear your mouth apart. Before they could exchange greetings, they saw their female companions suddenly starting to pinch each other, second young Master Ho and Mr. Han. Why is it that this activity has not even started yet and you are already embarrassing yourself? Okay, stop hitting me. If you hit me again, get out of here. It's hard to find anything else, but it's also hard to find a female companion. There are a lot of people vying to come just by calling. When they are rare. The two people who were pinching each other suddenly became excited. When they let go, they didn't forget to scratch each other's face. As a result, the nails were completely filled with foundation, which is called a thick foundation. Zhang Lingxian, haha. The elevator door was opened again. Zhang Nashuan looked at his granddaughter walking beside him. If you feel bored later, go next door to play with Miss Zhang. The two lounges should not be far apart. Yuan Sanshao, who went down to pick him up again, also smiled and said, the Miss Zhang that Mr. Zhang mentioned is not Miss Zhang Lingzi, right? It's a coincidence that Miss Zhang and Mr. Yuan came together this time, and they were all in the same lounge. Rest. Yuan Hui. Exactly. Then the three of them heard Zhang Lingxuan's he. Zhang Nashuan heard the familiar voice, turned his head and looked over, and saw his eldest granddaughter with disheveled hair and messy clothes, who looked like a crazy woman. Zhang Lingxian, why are you here? Zhang Lingxuan's brain was frozen for a moment. It took him several seconds to regain control of his hands, and he hurriedly smoothed his hair. "Grandpa, Mr. Zhang, I have admired you for a long time. Although second young Master Ho has some special preferences, he still admires old artists like Zhang Nashuan. He will keep Zhang Lingxian by his side. Being Zhang Nashuan's granddaughter also has certain bonuses, so he will take the initiative to reach out to him. I brought Lingxian. I guess it won't be long before I can call Mr. Zhang grandpa." Looking at the famous gangster in the circle in front of him, Zhang Nashuan felt that all the blood in his body was flowing to his head. His face instantly turned red and turned black. He could tell without a sphygmomanometer that his blood pressure had exploded. That Zhang Anfeng is going against him like this, right? Zhang Lingxian saw something was wrong and quickly explained, "Grandpa, it was my dad who forced me." Zhang Nashuan slapped her hand away, gritted his teeth and scolded him, "I don't have a son, don't recognize my grandpa like this." He grabbed Su Lingan's hand again and rushed forward, "Anan, let's go."